Yeah, Kevin, just wondering, in looking over, reading Miles' post-game comments, just talking about, we didn't make any sideline adjustments and that sort of thing. Um, I'm just wondering what's your reaction to the things that he said after the game, and I mean, have you talked to him about those kinds of things yourself, and where do you go from here with that?
Yeah, I think Mary Kay, like I mentioned before, anytime you have a game like that, there's a lot of frustration. I have spoken to Miles about that. I'll keep that conversation between Miles and myself.
Okay, I mean, do you feel like there is something to be said for the fact that the adjustments haven't been what they need to be on maybe both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I'd say again, you give up 45, you score 7. We didn't have a good enough plan. We didn't make enough adjustments. We didn't play well enough. It's all of the above when you get beat.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Next up, Scott Patrick.
Hey, Kevin, after the game, John Johnson III also said something like New England went back and kind of capitalized on stuff that we hadn't done well earlier in the year. Did you agree with that? And what does that say if you're continuing to make the same mistakes, 10 weeks into the season?
Yeah, I don't know specifically, Scott, what John's referring to. I think it is true in football when it comes to, defense. And when you struggle with a particular play, it keeps showing up until you stop it. And that's the copycat part of this league. So there are things that we have to identify and fix for sure. But specifically, I don't know exactly what John's talking about.
And then along those adjustment line, I mean, you guys come out and you score on that first drive. It's a really good drive. And then nothing after that. What did New England do differently on defense that was able to stop you?
Yeah, they did a nice job. We came back to a couple of runs that hit in that opening drive, and they didn't in the second time we ran them. They played physical. There were a couple opportunities we had, but ultimately, Scott, I would tell you the big thing for us was third down and not being able to continue drives, stay on the field, and then on the other side, not being able to stop them on those third downs. That was the key to the game.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. We'll go to Marla Ridenour.
Yeah, Kevin, just in light of all the penalties and mistakes, it seems like you've kind of lost a tough, smart, accountable, signature. What do you think happened to that?
Yeah, I think we need to be better there. Truly, Marla, I think we need to be accountable to our teammates when it comes to the penalties and it's really the pre-snap and the post-snap penalties are the ones that we're looking really to avoid. And then we got to play with clean technique. We're grabbing too much in the back end, and that's really allowing some of those third downs to turn into first downs.
And just with the earnest, I know you talked about him after the game, but I mean, does he continue to show you something and maybe you could have given him more when you thought it over afterward?
Yeah, I think, Dearness played how we feel like he's capable of playing. I think he did a nice job for us. Got behind there. It turned into a 3-score game. I don't know exactly when, but we had to throw it in those instances. But he played hard throughout the day, as you would expect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marla. Daryl Ryder, go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin, I just want to ask you about Baker. Can he keep playing through all of these injuries? Certainly you respect his toughness. He wants to be out there. He wants to play at a high level, but it seems like you might be a little limited in what you're able to call because you want to protect him a little bit. But at what point does it make sense to maybe tell him he needs to step back and heal up for you for a stretch run?
Well, I think I know he mentioned to you guys, he had the knee injury yesterday. He's fighting through it. We'll always make smart decisions with our players, with consultation with the medical staff, with the player. But he's fighting through it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Daryl. Jeff Shadell, you have our next question. Jeff, we can't hear you. Try your mic again.
I got it. How do you strike the balance, Kevin, but between overreacting to yesterday and just saying it was just a fluke?
Yeah, I think win, lose, or draw, Jeff, you always want to properly react. I think you want to make sure that anything that came up short, you want to own it and understand why. Because as we all know, sometimes you win those games and there's something that you didn't do so well, and you can't let that slide. So even after a win, you have to make corrections. So that's what today's about. That's what Mondays are always about, owning it, learning from it. And then we have to move on.
Thank you, Jeff. Tony Grossi is next.
Hey, Kevin, I know the score got out of hand and you can't run the ball 3-4 scores down, but when the game was still close, after the interception and it's a 1-score game, 14-7, you threw like 5 out of the next 7 plays on that series. So do you think you give up on the run too early just when you're down 1 score?
Yeah, I'd have to look at those 7 plays, Tony. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but I think we had some decent gains in the pass game. And then ultimately, I think 3rd down was where we didn't come through.
Yeah. And the other thing on offense was, why is it so difficult yesterday to get the ball to the wideouts?
Yeah, well, I think they did a nice job a bunch of times in their coverage. And then ultimately, we want to have a productive day in our pass game, whether we're throwing it to our tight ends, our wide receivers, our backs. We're looking for explosive plays any which way we can get them.
Okay. Thanks, Tony. Nate Ulrich, you're up.
Hey, Kevin, when we saw Baker briefly after the game, it looked like, walking was difficult at that time for him. Have you guys ruled out, I should say, has your medical staff told you it's ruled out any ligament sprains or anything more than just a knee contusion?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And when Kareem Hunt was injured, I remember you saying that you thought it was in the ballpark of the 4 to 6 weeks. Now we're in that ballpark. Do you think you'll get him back at practice this week, or are we still a little ways off for that?
Yeah, I think we'll see over the next couple of days, Nate, as we go. He's progressing. He's working through this rehab, so we'll see.
And lastly, do you have anything on the guys on the COVID list?
I really don't have an update. I mean, as you can imagine, we're hopeful, but we got to let the process play out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nate. Back to Mary Kay Cabot.
Yeah, Kevin, just wondering, are you, given that you didn't like the way anything went last night or yesterday, are you planning any procedural changes in the way anything is done, in the way anything is called, in the way anyone's calling or who's calling things in terms of your play calling, Joe doing, calling the defense, anything different that you need to do?
Yeah, I think we just need to talk as a staff, Mary Kay, and make sure that we're all doing our parts during the week, during the game, making sure that we're giving our guys a chance to succeed in what we're putting them out there to do. Just like any week, we'll have those conversations.
And it seemed like, and maybe it was because of the coverage, but it seemed like there was an effort to maybe, that Baker didn't have very many opportunities to throw deeper. And I think I don't think he completed many over, 11 yards or something like that. I mean, was that just because they led the league heading in with 13 interceptions and they're so good in pass defense?
It's some of that, Mary Kay. I think, like I said, the first thing I'll do is tell you they outcoached us. And we need to do a better job of finding some explosives in the pass game. That they weren't going to be a team that was going to give up a lot of downfield plays. So some of those, underneath plays that we could turn into 10, 11-yard gains, that was going to be how you're going to play for a lot of the game, and then try and find one of those explosives if you can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Fred Greetham is next.
Hey, Coach, it seemed like the Bengals game, you have a relatively young quarterback. You really were aggressive with him and forced some mistakes. It didn't seem like that was the same thing with the rookie quarterback. Was there any reason the defense wasn't as aggressive as they were the week before?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I give credit to their quarterback, their offense, that they made a bunch of plays. We didn't apply enough pressure, whether we rushed 4, 5, 6, we just didn't apply enough pressure. And really, third down wasn't good enough rush or coverage.
Thank you, Fred. Matt Fontana, you're up.
Yeah, Kevin, it seemed like yesterday there were some throws from Baker where he's really trying to like force it in there, especially even on that one interception. Like with Nick being out, did you maybe get a sense that Baker was trying to force it and maybe trying to like step up and make up for missing some guys on offense?
No, man, I didn't get that sense in terms of pressing because of, Nick being out. We got to take care of the ball. That was an uncharacteristic interception that Baker had there. And then we got to continue to make sure we take care of the ball, and then we got to take the ball away.
And then I'm kind of off of the question earlier about Miles and his kind of statement just on the sidelines. Like, have there been any changes, or do you see anything that's glaring about just like the sideline? Like when the guys hit the sideline, the conversations, the communication, the adjustments, is there any talk about maybe streamlining that or any changes needed there?
Yeah, I think it's pretty typical across the NFL. When your players come off, you get together as coaches, and then you sit with your players and you go over the pictures. So, that's our process. That's how everybody does it. That's how we'll continue to do it. We just have to be better at it. We got to be better with the game plan. We got to be better at executing the game plan. We got to be better at making adjustments. You name it, we have to be better.
Thank you, Matt. We'll take 3 more. Scott Petrick, Scott Patsko, Cameron Justice. Scott Petrick.
Hey, Kevin, you talked all week last week about the Patriots' physicality. Did you think you matched their physicalness and toughness yesterday?
I mean, again, we gave up 45, we scored 7. So we didn't do anything well, Scott. That's a good team. They run a physical run type. They play physical on defense, but we just got beat.
And going back to that inconsistency question, do you think there's anything to the fact that the expectations are so high, so you win a game like Cincinnati and it's like, hey, this is who we were, and there's a letdown, or that week the preparation isn't the same level that it needs to be?
Yeah, I don't think so, Scott.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Scott. So next, Scott Patsko.
Hey, Kevin, so the offense doesn't complete a lot of passes to the wide receivers, and it was really like the same story last year. Are the number or amount of targets to receivers where you want them to be, or is that something you think should be higher for the offense to operate correctly?
Yeah, I think we certainly want to get our wide receiver group going, Scott. I think we did it a couple weeks ago. Didn't do it well enough yesterday. And the truth is we just have to be better. I do think there's something to us playing as much 13 as we play. Keeps only one receiver out there, and we do that quite a bit on first and second down. So we got to make sure that we put our guys in position to make plays. And of course, I want our wide receivers to be making plays.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Final question, Cam Justice.
Hey, Kevin, you kind of talked about it, throughout this whole thing about making adjustments on different levels, whether it's the scheme, the play calling, and obviously hindsight's 2020. But heading into this week, do you think that you had enough information on the film that you watched in preparation, or did the Patriots maybe give you looks and schemes that you didn't expect? And if so, can you use that to build as you move on through this season and, through your tenure here?
Yeah, Cam, I think they did a very good job, the Patriots on offense, defense, special teams. They did a nice job with their offense. They schemed some things up that we just didn't do a good enough job, throughout the course of the game. So I give them credit. And then defensively, one of their hallmarks is they adjust really what they're doing week to week. So you have to be ready for anything when you're playing that defense. But ultimately, we just didn't get it done. So credit to them, and then we got to find ways to be better.